I have been investing for 10 years. So I started at 18, now I'm 28 years old. And now I have over $200,000 in my investment. So I have been putting money in there and investing so that by the time I'm retired, I'm set to have like $1.3 million right now. The more you invest, the better. But I would say as your income increases, you should then increase the amount that you invest, right? One month I made like $3,000.
Have you ever been broke?
No.
Ah. Hi guys, so before we get into the episode, I have a little huge favor to ask of you. Over the years, I've learned that closed mouths don't get fed. So this is me opening my mouth with the hopes that you'll feed me to stupor. If you as little as enjoyed this show, please like, share, and subscribe. It gives me the extra motivation that I need to keep going because I really want to be doing this for a very, very long time. Okay, thank you. Let's get back to the show. Hi guys, welcome to the show. Every time I get to talk to somebody who knows something about money that I don't, I'm always so excited because I currently at this stage of this moment consider myself a financial illiterate. I know nothing about money, but I'm changing the narrative. And that's why I'm so excited about my guest today, Reni.
Hi.
Hi, thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me.
How are you? How have you been?
I'm good. I'm enjoying life. Yeah, things are good.
Good.
How about you?
Good, thank you. So what have you been up to?
Just actually working because I'm going on vacation soon. So
God.
I'm trying to take a whole month off. So I'm trying to batch create everything before I leave.
So how's that coming along?
It's good. I recorded like 8 videos on Saturday. So
In one day?
yes,
How long?
Full-length YouTube videos.
Do you edit your videos?
No, I haven't edited.
Okay,
and
that's
a producer.
nice.
She comes to my house and then she edits it after. So
Does all the work
yeah,
for you. Okay,
thank
I think
God.
yeah, because if I had to edit 8 YouTube videos,
No.
I would pass out. How do you come up with your ideas though? Like, do you just like how do you get the creative ideas?
You know what? I've been using ChatGPT a lot.
Thank God for ChatGPT.
I know.
And thank you for being honest.
I actually wonder how I came up with ideas before that because it's a game changer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been using it a lot. And then Claude, have you heard of Claude?
Yeah.
It's really good. It's
Yeah,
really good.
I think I've tried it once. You know, the other day I was using ChatGPT and I'm like, is this real? Like, why are you making my life so easy for almost nothing?
This morning, I found this, some girl posted about this prompt you should ask yourself. And basically, like, based on everything I've told ChatGPT in the past however many months I've been using it, tell me what my issues are with my business. And it gave me a list of, like, here are 3 things you do amazing, but here are 3 things you do badly.
No.
I was shocked.
I'm going to go and do that. Why is it so smart?
I'm going to send it to you. It was crazy. I was scared. It actually, they were accurate. It was like, you struggle to delegate. I was like, it's true. It's true.
Wow, AI is really crazy. But we're thankful for it.
Yes.
Because I was like I'm going to be honest, I catch up onto these things kind of late, so to say. Like maybe, like I remember when Instagram first came and I had this friend in my university then and we were both like, oh no, we're not going to join that thing. And then look at me now. And it was the same thing with ChatGPT. I kind of like had trust issues.
Yeah, me too.
But now every time it's like,
yeah.
Even up until I bought like this air fryer thing. How long should I roast my corn for? I'm so dependent on it now. I almost can't do anything with that.
It. I've never thought to use it for that, but
I use it for everything. I'm sure if you could talk, it would be like get lost.
Amazing.
use your brain sometimes, but no. But yeah, so first thing that caught my fancy is you bought a house at 21.
23.
23. Yeah. Okay, sorry. 23.
A little older. Yeah.
And you live in that house.
I actually don't. I rent it out to tenants.
Okay,
right now.
then that makes sense. But did you used to live in it initially?
No, I've never lived in it. I just so I was 22 at the time, and then my dad. I had been investing in the stock market since I was 18, and my dad taught me how to invest. And then he was like, when I was 22, he was like, "How much money do you have in your account?" And I showed him. It was like $60,000, and he's like, it's time to buy a house. And I was like, no, it's not time to buy a house. I live with you guys rent free. Like, why would I buy a house? And he said, no, like, I think it's time. It's better to take some of your profit out of the stock market. You can keep investing, Like, okay, fine, Dad. So we started to look for houses. And then he told me that, don't worry, you don't have to move out of the house. You can just rent it out to tenants. So that's what I did. I bought it like in London, Ontario, which is an hour or so outside of Toronto. And I rented out, and I have for the past 4 years.
And how's that going?
So far, so good. I would say I got really blessed with my tenants. They don't cause me stress. And I chose not to rent to students for the exact reason. I wanted somebody who it's like a family of 4. They take care of the house. The dad he's painted, he's a welder. He takes care of it like it's his own, which I really like.
And what a privilege I think it is to have a parent who puts you on to invest in.
Yes.
Because, and my parents, like the great guys, and I love them. And I love them, and I will not trade them for anything in the world. But at 21,
Yeah.
I was serving. I was serving NYC, and I was broke, and I didn't even think, like, whatever money I had, I didn't even think in, like,
Yeah.
I only started investing this year. It's so embarrassing.
But it's better late than
It's
never,
so
right?
embarrassing, and I'm seeing like all the things, and I'm hearing things like, you know, you don't need, because I was like, okay, maybe when I have like 500K USD, I'll start investing, because when you hear investing, you think that you need so
big
much money.
Yeah.
But I'm hearing that even with my 100,000 naira, or like your $500.
Yeah. Even 5,000 naira, you can start investing with that. Like with different apps like Bamboo, Chaka, Trove, they all allow you to invest with as little as 5,000 naira. So you actually don't need that much. And in Canada, as little as $1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was like kind of like a revelation for me, because like I just thought that I needed so much. So how if you know how rich how rich can investing, just roughly really, $1,000 yearly make my future self?
I feel like I don't know the exact math on that, but it depends. How many years are we investing for? 40 years, 30 years? I'm sure hundreds of thousands of dollars it can make you. But the more you invest, the better. So if you can only invest 1,000, that's great. But I would say as your income increases, you should then increase the amount that you invest, right? I have been investing for 10 years. So I started at 18, now I'm 28 years old.
Okay.
And I started with literally $9 an hour. Like I was making $9 an hour at the time, and I would just buy stocks like with that money. Obviously, not that much if you live in Canada. That's not a lot of money. But 4 years later, 5 years later, my portfolio was $60,000 because every 2 weeks, no matter what, I would just put like $200 or so into my investing account, and yeah, it grew to like $60,000
In 4 years?
Yeah, like from 18 to 22, it grew that much. And it's because I invested in like really powerful stocks. Like I invested in Shopify at the time. Shopify was around $200 per share at the time, and then it grew all the way to $1,200 per share. So it was a huge growth. Obviously, not all investing is going to happen like that, but even if you invest in like the different funds that we have available, you can still see a lot of growth there. Like now, I rebuilt my portfolio after selling all of the stocks.
Oh, you sold them?
Yeah, because I used the money to buy the house.
Oh, okay.
And now I have over $200,000 in my investment
So
portfolio.
you made it back?
Yeah.
So how do you know like what stocks to buy?
Yeah. I would say for beginners, I don't even tell people to choose any stocks at that point. You can choose ETFs, which are exchange traded funds.
Okay, what
it's
are
basically like, I'm sure lots of us have heard of like mutual funds. Have you heard of mutual funds? So mutual funds are when a fund manager, if you don't know, a fund manager goes and they say, okay, give us $500 or $50 or whatever their minimum is, and they say we're gonna put your money with everybody else's money who invests, and then we're gonna put it in a certain portfolio. So they say low risk, high risk, or medium risk, whatever the option is, and then they are actively managing it. So they're gonna say, okay, we're gonna sell. We like that Apple's doing well, we're gonna buy more of Apple, or we don't like that Tesla's doing poorly, we're gonna sell. And they're always doing that. And when you sell and buy things, it actually triggers like fees and taxes. So it can be actually very expensive to have a mutual fund. Like most mutual funds, if people check their returns on their mutual funds, it may be up like 2%, 3%, because no matter if you make money or not, the fund manager always takes their cut.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So the difference is we also have ETFs, which are exchange traded funds. And those are passively managed funds. So the same as mutual funds, except they're passively managed. There's no one going in and saying, let me sell this or buy this or this. It's like once a year that they're changing the portfolio. And because of that, you're more likely to see your money grow. Like over time, they've always beat mutual funds. So I don't know why people even invest in mutual funds at this point. I would say people should strictly stick to ETFs.
Do they charge you, the ETF guys?
They do, but their fees are usually very low, like 0.5%, 0.05%. Like they're very low fees that.
How do I go about it then?
Go about investing in ETFs?
ETFs, yeah.
Any investing app. So if you're in Canada, Wealthsimple, Questrade. If you're in Nigeria, Chaka, Trove, Bamboo.
Bamboo does that?
Yeah, and you can just go on and just purchase, just type in a name of one of the ETFs. So for example, there's this thing called the S&P 500. Have you heard of that?
Yeah.
That's the 500 largest companies in the United States, and you can become an owner in all of those just by buying that ETF. So if you type in S&P 500 in Chaka, Bamboo, Trove, Wealthsimple, it will actually give you a list of different ETFs that hold all of them. The only difference between most of them is the fees that the fund will charge. So in Canada, I like one called VFV. So that one is, again, the 500 largest companies in the United States. And that's the one I buy every 2 weeks.
Did you say VFV?
Yeah, it taken out.
Yep, girl.
For the past 3 years, I bought it every 2 weeks, and it's up like I think 33% the last time I checked. So it's not going to get you growth like 5,000% growth or anything, but it's a place where you can keep your money and let it grow, and you know that it's very unlikely that 500 companies in the U.S. will crash and burn. So your money is
so
safe.
it's safe.
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah. Like it's for people who are, you can take more risk than a savings account, but you don't want to put your money in one company, like Apple, for example. Apple's great. Apple has been doing well for a very long time. But if Apple suddenly crashes and burns,
Then your money goes.
all of it, right?
God, that's my fear.
Yeah. That's why for people who are really scared, I'm like, start with ETFs. It's the best way to go. And also, like, when you're thinking of individual stocks, you really need to be researching constantly to see how is this company still performing. Like, it's one thing if it's performing well when you buy it, but with individual stocks, technically, like, most people should be like constantly seeing, okay, is this company still performing the way that I thought it was when I bought it? But most people don't do that. They just buy and then they let it grow, which is fine. But is it going to keep growing at the same rate? Is it still performing well?
I think that maybe it's because it can be like a lot of work, because if you have like maybe 6 stocks or like, and then you have to keep checking. But also, what do you think about like combination, like the personal ones, a little bit of that and a little bit of this,
Yeah, I think a good portfolio has ETFs. It also has individual stocks, and then some people like to add crypto if they want to take a bit more risk. So it's perfectly fine to have them, but I think everyone should just know themselves, like.
Yeah, know what you can handle.
Exactly. Like me, when I was younger, I used to pick individual stocks, but now I'm just like, I'm in my lazy girl era. I don't really care to do all of that. So I think 95% of the stocks I buy are individuals. I mean, are ETFs.
And they work just fine.
They work just fine.
Okay, so how long have you been doing this ETF now?
3 years now. So it's kind of like right after I bought the house, I was like, yeah, I'm in my lazy girl era.
Okay, so and then after like the ETF, your portfolio grew to 200,000.
So I had some, like, I think I was like at 40K, but that was in my retirement account.
Okay.
So that part I did not take out for the house purchase. So I took out 60, I think it was around 60K plus some cash that I had for the home purchase. And then 40K was just in a retirement account that I had. And then, it's because, it's a long story, but basically I worked at a company, I quit my job, and I got to take out my retirement plan or whatever.
Okay, from the guys.
And invest it. I chose to invest it myself. So that's like kind of restarted my portfolio with the 40K.
Okay.
And then the rest, over the past 3 years, I've been like 100 and I grew it to 200K since then.
With the ETF?
Yeah.
And how much are we looking at like monthly to be able to do that?
Okay, so I put in $500 on the first day of every month into my retirement account.
Okay.
And then every 2 weeks I put in $733 into a my tax-free savings account, and then I buy ETFs.
Yeah, but the tax-free, I've heard it has a cap. There's how much.
Yeah.
You can.
So there is a cap. If you're moving to Canada, it's like when you land in Canada, that's when you start accumulating interest, contribution room in the account. So let's say you landed here this year, you get $7,000 of contribution room this year. Okay. So you can't put more than $7,000.
Okay, for the year.
Yeah. On January 1st, you'll get another $7,000, or they may choose to increase it or decrease it, but most likely they're going to keep it the same. So by next year, if you haven't contributed yet, you'll have $14,000 of contribution.
Okay, so it keeps growing like yearly.
And because I've been here since I was 4 years old, it starts when you're 18 years old. So from 18 to 28, I have 10 years of room. And also the good part is like, whatever you withdraw, you get back as contribution room. So imagine like, say you put $7,000 this year and you invest all that money and it grows to $10,000. If you take out that $10,000, they actually give you more, like you have $10,000 of room that you basically created more room in your portfolio and more contribution room in your TFSA. So yeah, it's interesting. It's like, it's a weird account, but basically it's tax free. So I think everybody should open it if they're moving to Canada or they currently live here.
Interesting. Yeah. But to leave your job and then going full time, I think that must have taken like a lot of courage. What made you decide that though?
So what made me decide? I was burnt out from my work, basically.
Okay.
So that's what made me want to quit my job. And I think most people want to quit their 9 to 5. It's not like the most exciting thing to do. But basically, so I started my YouTube channel in 2020, and immediately because I was posting about my house and investing, it did start to do pretty well off the bat. And then by 2021, and my job was chill at that time. It was also COVID, so we're working from home, but my job was chill. Then in 2021, I got a promotion, and that job was stressful. It was very, very stressful, and two people on my team had quit, or like not quit, but they just went on leave, and then they didn't replace the two people. So I'm starting a new role, and I'm working three people's job, and only getting paid the salary of one person. And I had gotten monetized on YouTube at the time, and one month I made like $3,000, and I was like, I think I could quit this job. But I didn't quit at that point because honestly, $3,000 in Toronto is not that much money, to live on every month. So I was like, I think I can quit. But then I kept asking my manager, because I still like the safety of a 9 to 5. So I asked my manager, like, hey, are we replacing these people? Are we replacing these people? They kept saying yes. It never happened. So eventually, like 4 months later, I was like, okay, I have to leave.
Well, so you were doing all that for 4 months?
No, even from January till I made $3,000 in June of 2021. January is when I started the position, so that was 6 months, and then I didn't quit till October 1st, 2021 was my Independence Day from 9 to 5. So it took me a while to actually leave, but I did. Finally.
Yeah.
And
Okay, so you were working your 9 to 5, excuse me, and also doing your content together.
Yeah.
How were you able to do that though?
I was kind of burnt. I was like too tired. So usually what I would do, like in 2020, I would record. So I would have 9 to 5, whatever, Monday to Friday. On Saturday, I would record 4 videos. On Saturday, I would record 4 videos, and on Sunday, I would edit those 4 videos.
How long are these videos?
10 minutes each.
Okay.
And then I would, and there's talking head videos, so it's not like too much. They're very simple, just cut. And then I would schedule them out for the next month. So I would always have like a month of content stuff. So I was very consistent. I was even posting twice a week at one point. Like I was very consistent on YouTube at that time. So I was able to balance it. But once I got this 9 to 5, this promotion, I was so tired.
Yeah.
I was like, on Saturdays, I just want to sleep. I don't have energy to be recording. So I was like, okay, this job is impacting my ability to be creative, have fun. So I just I had to quit. I couldn't balance the two. No, I couldn't.
Yeah, and I feel like it's important to be able to know like when to leave.
Yeah.
And just say it's enough instead of trying to be like a superwoman.
Yeah.
And just juggle everything together.
Yeah. And I recognize that it's a privilege to even be able to quit your job because like I was still living at home, right? I had my tenants paying my mortgage and then I'm living at home. So it was an easier decision compared to if I had kids or if I had a husband. Like it would be harder to leave. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk quickly on the tenants paying the mortgage now.
Yeah.
So all the money that you make from the house goes into the mortgage. Does anything come to you?
So at the time it did. So I was paying my mortgage was around $1,200 at the time.
Okay.
And then my tenants were paying me $1,900 in rent at the time.
Okay.
So yeah, it was like $700 profit, and then some of it would go towards property taxes. But other than that, yeah, I was making some profit. Now interest rates have increased significantly, so I just decided to increase my mortgage payment as well, so I can keep paying down the mortgage quicker. So this is a very small profit, not much anymore, but whatever. We're holding for the long term.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if I wanted to buy a house now, what is the number one thing that I should be aware of in a way where I'm making a purchase that will benefit me more on the long run?
For a rental property or your one that you want to live in?
Okay, so we're gonna do both.
Okay.
But let's start with rental property.
I think for a rental property, it's so important that you just run your numbers. Like when I say that, I think a lot of people, even me included, when I bought my house, I didn't really factor in. Like I just was like, oh, okay, let's buy. I can afford this. Let me buy it. But then, can you actually afford it? And will the rent cover all the expenses that you are going to incur? So it's not just like the mortgage. and the down payment, but it's also the maintenance cost. It's sometimes utilities if they're not included. It's the cost of finding a tenant if you're not doing it yourself. Like those are all a lot of expenses that we have to consider, but most people don't consider them at all. Property taxes as well. My property tax is like $2,500 a year. So imagine you're just basing your profit on the money that you get monthly, but you're not considering that you're actually gonna have to pay property taxes throughout the year. So I feel like most people don't run those numbers, so their properties aren't cash flowing positive. They're just breaking even, or a lot of times it's at a loss. That's what I've seen, anyways, from a lot of people I work with. When it comes to your personal home, like I'm of the belief that your personal home is not a investment. I think it's more of it's a place for you to live, and that's how I view it. I know I got dragged on Twitter for saying this, but I truly think the personal home that you're living in is it's not an investment, because you're just putting money into it every month. It's of course it'll increase in value over time, but nobody really factors in how much they put into it over the 5-10 years that they were living there. It's not like Nigeria where you buy a house, it's cash, and then you own it, so you don't have to pay anything. Well, you pay like electricity and stuff, but you're not paying. It's not the same here. You need to run your numbers to see if you can truly afford that house, and not think of it as like some magical investment that you're gonna have. So what I find from a lot of people is that when they buy houses here, they become what I like to call house poor, where they can afford the monthly mortgage, but now they have no money to go to lunch with their friends, right? Because they didn't run the numbers to see, okay, can I afford the mortgage, the utilities, the like maintenance on this house? Because I've seen people, they like the roof something will happen to the roof, $10,000 bill that you have to pay.
No.
What are you doing in that case? Most people don't have an emergency fund for their house, right? So they end up in a worse position. I know a lot of people. I do this Ask Me Anything anonymously on my stories every week, and one person just wrote a confession saying that like buying my home was the worst purchase that I ever made, because it's just become a money pit where I'm just putting money into it every single month, and I can't even live my life and enjoy my life anymore. And it seems like a one-off, but it's very, very common. I have an accountability group with like 150 people. I hear it all the time. A lot of people regret buying their home. So that everyone doesn't regret buying their home, just make sure you're running the numbers before you purchase and making sure it's something you can truly afford.
Yeah. And if you had told me this also like maybe a year ago, I would have been one of those people that were dragging you.
Why?
You know, because like I said, like this year I'm becoming like more financially aware. And I also know that if you maybe buy a house, it's not an investment. But I think a lot of people do that because like that's the only way we know to hold the money down, so to say, so that it doesn't go. The idea of stock or like maybe bonds or like the tax-free accounts, that it's like we hear about it, but like there's no like in-depth definition on. So if you wanted like a knowledge on all of these things that is kind of like brief, like a start, like a stepping stone to investment, where would you advise a person to go for that?
Well, on my YouTube channel. Shameless plug, but
I wanted you to say it with your mouth.
I have like a playlist called Investing 101, where I actually go through step by step the basics of investing in the stock market. And then I also, starting in 2025, I have a newcomer series where I'm literally walking you through, okay, you arrived in Canada, here's how you open a bank account. Here's what a TFSA is, an RSP, and FA, all the different accounts that we have here. So coming soon, you can watch it on my YouTube channel. But yeah, I think like that would be a good place to start. Also, McGill, which is a university here in Canada, they have this thing called Personal Finance Essentials. It's a free course that you can take, and I would take it. Like I took it, and it was really good. So I recommend everybody who moves here to take that free course as well. Those are the places that I would start when it comes to investing.
Okay. So let me take you back a little bit. You were talking about your retirement fund. What is that like? So you just keep putting the money there. You don't take it out. You don't touch it. But are you able to take it out if you wanted to?
So in Canada, we have this account called the RRSP. It's the Registered Retirement Savings Plan. And you can save in the account, but you can also invest through that same account. I encourage people to invest because it makes more sense to invest for retirement, which is in 30, 40 years, than to just save for the next 30, 40 years. So in this account, basically it grows, it's tax deferred. So if I put money in there and let's say I put $1,000 and it grows to $1,500,
Yeah.
normally you would have to pay taxes on that $500 gain because in Canada we're taxed on everything. But in that account, you would just pay taxes when you take out the money, if like when you're 65, 70, whatever. And the idea is that when you're 70, that you take it out. If you take out $10,000, that's considered your income for the year. So you're going to pay a much lower tax rate than if you were paying taxes right now.
Okay, so you
at
still
your
pay
peak.
tax, but it's going to be lower.
Yeah, so it's deferred. It's a deferred tax shelter. So I have been putting money in there and investing so that by the time I'm retired, I'm set to have like $1.3 million right now. If I continue with
Just from that one.
yeah,
Okay.
so that's $500 a month, and I've been putting it in for the past since 2022. I've been putting in $500 a month on the first day of every month, and right now I can't remember what it's at, but the projection in the account is that it will grow to about 1.3 million, I believe it was. So yeah, that's how I see that as money that's not my money right now. Like it's just there. And I think you asked, can you take the money out?
Yeah, if you wanted to.
So yes, you can always take out money out of your RSP. They don't hold it or anything. But the thing is, you'll pay taxes now at like your high income level now. So it's probably not favorable. And they also charge you another tax, like kind of a pet, like it's called it's called withholding tax because you're taking it out before age 65. So the goal is really so that you keep it to retirement. And the idea is the government doesn't want to be taking care of us when we are 65. They want you to take care of yourself. So if you're in Canada, one thing you can also do is contribute with your employer. So your employer will usually match your contributions to your RSP. So I used to do this where, 5% of your paycheck goes into your RSP instead of being paid to you.
Okay.
And your employer will give you another 5% on top of that. So it's basically free money.
Okay.
So I always tell people, if you have a job, I don't have a 9 to 5, so I don't get this benefit anymore. But if I was working 9 to 5, I would take advantage and maximize whatever the max is that they're going to give you. I would choose to maximize that.
Yeah,
It's free money.
Do you see yourself going back to a 9 to 5 then?
No.
No? She's like, no.
No. I love the life that I have. So no,
The freedom.
Yeah.
Kind of, because you still get to like work, but it's...
I work more than I ever worked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I work more than I ever worked, but I'm able to work on my own terms. Like I can go to Nigeria for a month, work there. In 9 to 5, they're not allowing that. This year I've been to like 8 countries. Usually in Canada we get 3 weeks vacation if we're lucky. So, I wouldn't be able to go to 8 countries on a 3-week vacation limit. So yeah, I really like the life that I live. And also I make great money. Like last year we cleared
energy. Energy, yeah.
Yeah, last year I cleared like 300K from my content creation business. So,
That's really cool. How though? From YouTube or?
So it's a mixture of YouTube, brand deals, and my accountability groups, and speaking engagements.
Okay.
So every month, like this month I've had 5 different speaking engagements, and I usually charge $2,500 for an hour-long speaking gig.
Okay.
So, $10,000 or so this month just from speaking to people. I also do brand deals, and because I have a very engaged audience and my audience is very niche as well, I can charge top dollar. Like my largest campaign has probably been like $60,000 or $70,000
for one deal.
Yeah, and it was like I think 3 YouTube videos and 2 like UGC videos for them. So it was great money,
Yeah.
And then I also have affiliate income. So when you're working with the banks and these financial institutions, they typically pay very well for affiliate deals. Like, if you're doing affiliate for clothing, you're gonna get a few $5 or $10. But for some of the banks I work with, for every person who opens an account using my link, I get like $70. So, I have 150,000 people across my
media forums.
Yeah, and now like every single month I get affiliate income, even though I don't post about them. I haven't made a video about that bank since January, but I still get affiliate income every single month this year. And in December I will post again about them. I just do it twice a year, and it pays for the whole year. So yeah, those are the main things. And yeah, and then my accountability group. So I have like a paid membership that people join me for.
How does that work?
So it is for people who want to get good with their finances and learn a bit more about finances in Canada. It's 150 people right now, but next year I'm planning to make it larger. I set a cap, but I realized I'm going to just let anyone who wants to join at any time.
Okay.
Yeah. And basically, I help keep you accountable to your financial goals. So we work on goal setting, and then every month is a different topic. So we have investing, we have budgeting, we have debt repayment, all these different topics that you can join. And we have a guest speaker every month. So yeah, it's like a little community. And then I also have events. So I hosted my first event this summer in Toronto, and that was really good. It's like 120 people, I think. And
That's good turnout.
thank you. And it sold out in like 10 minutes or so.
No.
So it's really good. Yeah. And then I also I'm doing one in Lagos in December as well. So.
How's it coming along?
Good. So
It's one of the reasons why you're going home.
Yeah. Well, it's because I was going home. I was like, okay, might as well do it.
Okay.
Yeah. But I was going to go regardless. Yeah. Yeah. So those are some of the ways that I make money.
Okay. So how now have you been able to, because you know it's something to have followers, and there's something to have followers who, when you tell them do something, they do it.
Yeah.
How do you think you've been able to build that connection between you and your like followers, your audience?
I think because I'm very honest, they really trust me. They know, like, there have been things that I promoted in the past and then I no longer like them. I will tell them that I no longer like this product and I would not recommend this anymore. And I think people just know that, you know, no amount of money can make me speak positively about something that I personally wouldn't use. I think they've also seen me use products for years and years and years before, like, or months and before I ever get sponsored by the company as well. So it just feels like, okay, Reni shares this stuff anyways, and now she's getting paid to share the same stuff that she already, you know. So I think that's why they convert. And also I think because I'm vulnerable and share, you know, my story, my numbers and stuff like that, people just find that they can.
Takes a lot, I think, or maybe it's just me
it's
to be able to come and say,
it's
just a Nigerian thing, right? Like, you say, this is how much. First of all, it's like.
It's a Nigerian
then everybody knows how much you have.
Yeah.
Then it's like, how do you then say no when people come and ask?
They should ask me.
You know, because it's like, you know, there's like black tax.
Yeah.
Especially if you're like a beneficiary, like me, example. Yeah. So then how do I come and say, I have like 500K USD yearly? When my uncle comes and says he needs 50K for what am I going to?
It's your money. It's your money.
Yeah, because I'm like, if I ever had to do that, I don't know if I would be. It's gonna take a lot. So I think that's actually something there. And then so we talk about investing and then saving and then this and then budgeting, and then when do I now actually get the chance to enjoy the money that I work for? Like, when do I? Because I mean, you only live once and nobody knows tomorrow, which has been my mantra for years, but that hasn't served me any purpose.
Yeah, my mantra is the same though. Like, my mantra is like, you literally only live once. That's why I've been to 8 countries this year. I'm like, before I have these children one day, I need to enjoy my life.
I love it, energy.
Not that I can't enjoy with children, but I think it's a bit.
The best holiday that I think I've had was in 2019, shortly after I got married, before I had kids.
Yeah, makes sense.
Now, like, you can't go anywhere without the kids.
Exactly.
And even if you go without them, there's like, it's not as much fun. I don't know how to explain it, but it's just different.
Okay.
So yes, go everywhere, please.
I've been to 41 countries. Like, that's how I enjoy. That's how I enjoy my money. Like, I like to travel. So I'm big on, like, we meet our goals. We try to save. We try to invest. But then we also try to enjoy our life at the same time. And the way that I do that, for example, when I work with people, we'll sit down, we'll look at all your income that comes in on a monthly basis, and then we will set goals based on this income. So your goal is that you want to travel to 2 countries this year, and that's going to cost you $6K. Okay, we're going to save every single month so that you can reach that $6K goal. So by December, you'll have $6,000 in your savings account. Then you want to invest 10K this year, we're going to put that. And I do it on a monthly basis so that it's not like you just have to come up with the money randomly at one time. It's always being funneled towards your goals. So I'm big on automation. Like, the way that I'm able to, I told you that $500 a month on the first day of every month. It's not because, like, I'm special, or it's just because I automated everything. Okay. So it comes out on the first day of every month. Regardless of what I want to do, the money is coming out of my account. Okay, nice. Every 2 weeks, $733 comes out and it goes to the different accounts. So it has nothing to do with me. And then I don't feel guilty about spending the rest of my money because my goals are accounted for. I know that even if I just keep up with this $500 a month, I will have $1.3 million by the time I am 65. I think that's pretty good, you know? So that's how I like to do it. Like, you don't have to sacrifice living life in order to meet your goals, but you obviously do have to work within your income level. So I think the best way is to increase your income as much as possible, and then also to just plan, like think about what you actually want to achieve. Because I find that some people are like, yeah, I want to travel this year. They have no travel fund. So then when it comes to March and they want to travel, they'll just say, okay, I'm not going to save this month. I'm not going to invest this month. I'm just going to put all that money and redirect it to travel. But instead, if you were saving $200 a month or $300 a month or whatever it was, then you would always have money to travel and it's in your travel and it wouldn't impact any of your other financial goals.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But then we keep like telling people to increase their income as if no, you can just go there and go income increase. You know, there's like I think are there like ways to how do you go about it?
Yeah, there are a few ways. So obviously, like in your if you have a 9 to 5,
Okay.
you can ask for a raise at work. I feel like a lot of times when I meet Nigerians who grew up in Nigeria and live here, those aren't conversations that they're really having. They're nervous to like negotiate their salary or ask for a raise. But in this country, you have to ask for everything that you want. You have to ask. Yeah. So I was talking to my friend earlier, and she was just saying that she finds it really hard to even like she asked for a raise for her boss. She found it so hard to do, as if like I don't want to inconvenience. I'm like, please. If this company, if the manager had to choose between cutting her salary and your salary, she'll always choose your own salary that she will cut. So don't feel any like guilt or anything towards these people. Yeah, like you can't come and die for these companies because they will not die for you, right? Okay. So that's the first thing. I'd say if you're at your 9 to 5, simply asking and like communicating to your manager that you are looking to make more money. That's one thing you can do. I did it every single year that I worked in corporate and it always worked. Like when I first started, I was making like it was not much. Like in my internships, like 35K. And by the time I left, I think I was like 70 something K. Okay. And it was just in like 3 years or so. And then I got an offer for 100K, like in that same period. So I think it's very possible to increase your income, but again, asking for that money will help you. And then also choosing certain types of careers, right? I know, unfortunately, we all have passions and doing stuff, but some of them don't pay as well as others, right? So the person I was talking to this morning as well, she works in nonprofit, and she was just realizing that there's no money in this place.
Yeah, but that's her passion.
Yeah. Oh. So she started applying for jobs elsewhere. She's like, I can volunteer here, but for my 9 to 5, I actually need something that will support the lifestyle that I want to live. So she's actually transitioning out of it right now. Okay. So I think choosing the skills that are in high demand and that pay very well. So like the tech industry that we know, finance, those are industries that are pretty solid and have been paying pretty well for the past 10 plus years. If you are an entrepreneur, I think there are lots of ways to increase your income, but basically I think doing an audit of everything that you do and then putting a dollar amount to your time, that's what really helped me increase my income.
How do you explain that?
So I was like, okay, I want to make $200,000 in 2023. So I need to work backwards and I need to look, okay, how much is that per month? Okay, how much is that per week? I want to take 4 weeks off. Okay, so then in 50 weeks, how much do I have to make in order to make this amount of money? And then I work backwards per hour. And then I got down to like a per hour rates that I needed to charge. And I was realizing, wow, a lot of these things I'm doing, they're not paying enough to actually reach this 200K. So I started cutting out all the tasks that we're not reaching. Like, sometimes as entrepreneurs, we take what is offered to us because it's like, we don't know when the next thing is going to come. Yeah. Oh, they're offering me 500 for a deal. I usually charge 1,000, but like, yeah, but so you have to actually consider, is this worth the time? Because we all know that a 1 hour video that we're doing or even a 1 minute long video that we're making for a brand
takes like hours and then you have to edit it
and then feedback back and forth. I'm emailing them. It's just a lot.
The equipment.
So I did that for the first time and I was like, wow, this video took me like 4 hours, 5 hours to make. And I charge this much? That means I'm making minimum wage. That's literally how I thought of it. And then I was like, what was the point of leaving my job for minimum wage? There was no point. And then I started to increase my rates. Of course, you will have less clients, but it doesn't matter if you have less clients if they're paying you more.
Because you'll make up for it,
Exactly. So you have less clients who are paying you more per job. It works out in the end. Yeah, so that's one thing. And also diversifying your streams of income, not really having all your eggs in one basket. So I used to really focus on my brand deals, and my brand deals still do pay me very well, but it's not my focus anymore. It's mostly on like the events that I'm hosting, because events can make you some great money. And also my accountability group. That's something I own aside from social media. Even if social media disappears, I'll still have my accountability group. And these are people who I'm coaching, I'm helping them, and then they're paying me a monthly fee to help them grow. So I would say looking to diversify the different streams of income you have is also a really powerful thing as an entrepreneur.
How did you know to be able to do all these things?
I think it was just trial and error. Like I'm just learning as I go. I feel like it seems like I know a lot, everything, but I'm just learning as I go.
Yeah,
And talking to other people.
Okay.
Like I have conversations with people. I ask them, and because I like talking about money, it's easy for me to be like, "Girl, I'm charging $2,000 for a reel. Please, is this the right rate to charge? How do
People
I charge?"
who do what you do, or
Even across like other content creators,
Yeah.
not just finance, but across all industries.
Okay.
The way that I realized that I was charging too little for one reel was actually this girl who she's a talent manager.
Yeah.
And she was I just posted about, I don't know, something on my story, and then she was like, "I hope you're charging at least $5,000 for a reel." And I was like, what? And I asked her, and then we just started talking about we had a conversation about it, and I charged $5,000 for a reel, and it worked, and nobody pushed back, and I was like, oh, okay.
which was kind of like the same thing for me, which is weird. Now let me tell you a story.
Tell me.
Right? So, well, this was back in Nigeria, and then this brand manager, she reached out to me, and she's like, "How much do you charge for a video?" And I go, "Oh, 400,000 naira." That was how much I was charging at the time. And then she's like, "Ah," and I'm like, "Oh, if it's too much, don't worry, you can," because I also knew her. I'm like, "If it's too much, don't worry, you can." And I kind of like, I don't like money conversations because it's just weird. If you didn't have it growing up, or if you don't have like a lot of knowledge about it, it's just weird.
Yeah.
So I'm like, "Oh, don't worry, you can take like 350. And she's like, "Ah," and I'm like, "What?" And she's like, she hasn't paid anybody nothing less than 1 million in the past 2 years.
Oh, wow.
Right? And so I put my thing to 2 million.
You're making up for last time.
And nobody, like, even if they'll push back, they'll say maybe like 1.5 million naira.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
And so I went home and
It's
I
a
was
slap
just
in
like,
the face.
And now let me tell you another story. So this brand reaches out to me, right? And I send my rate card, which was, I think it was 1.5 in it at the time. And she's like, "Oh, can we pay you 100,000 naira?" And I'm like, "Wait, how?" And she's like, "Oh, you said 150." I'm like, "Oh no, it's 1.5. I think she misread the zeros, right?" Now tell me why she goes back, and then she comes back and pays me 1.5 million.
So she's gonna offer you 100.
Yeah. So I'm like,
That's
if I had
criminal
charged
behavior.
100K, you would have given me 100K. 100K when my actual worth, like, so it's like really important to actually have these conversations, because if that lady, but like, then again, obviously when you grow up in Nigeria, there's that thing of you don't want people to know how much you're earning, and now I just tell you, this is how much, because I feel like it'll help somebody.
It will, yeah. And I feel like when you're more open about it, people are more open with you. Yeah. And even in the workplace, like, I've always liked talking about money. So in the workplace, I'd ask my coworkers, like, okay, I'm going to ask for 65K. Do you think that's a good amount? They'd be like, no, ask for 70. And I'm like, oh, okay, good. And then I ask for 70, right? So I think no matter where you are, I know it feels taboo, it feels awkward, because most of us didn't grow up having those conversations, but it's better for all of us. Hiding your pay only helps the people that are paying you. You know, there's no need to hide your pay.
It makes sense. Let me ask you, what does wealth mean to you? What's your definition of wealth? Oh, Reni is wealthy. What is wealth?
Good question. I think wealth is having enough to supply all my needs, emotional, physical, financial, like all of the needs that I have, and also being healthy. I know it's cliche, health is wealth, but literally, if you have $1 million in the bank, but you have no money, but you don't have your health, it's not worth it at that point. So I would say it's being healthy, being surrounded by my friends and family, but also having enough money to do exactly what I want. Like, that financial freedom where I can pick up and go anytime I want. It gives you choices. That's what I like about it. The reason I was able to quit my job I had this other source of income that was giving me $3,000 a month. So I was like, okay, I can quit my job and do this. Like, I feel like money gives you options, and I love the feeling that it gives me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we spoke about how if you have $5,000, there's things that you can do. So if somebody gave you $2 million today cash,
Yes.
what are you gonna do with the money?
I think honestly, I would invest 1 million of it.
Okay.
Because
In what?
I probably put like 500K in that VFE because it's just easy, simple.
Yeah.
And then I'll probably ask my dad for some recommendations for some individual stocks that he recommends, like probably some tech stocks and stuff like that, just so we can see a little bit more growth. But that's where I would put my investments. And then the other 1 million, maybe I pay my tithe, I pay my tithe.
We love it.
I would give some to my parents, my sister, but I feel like they're all okay. They don't really need it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd probably go on a really epic 1 year vacation and not be in this country.
Yeah.
Because I really do love traveling and I would love to see the world. So I've been, again, 41 countries so far. The goal is to go to all 196 countries. So I have a lot to go. So I need the money to be able to go to all those countries. So I think, honestly, that's what I would do. And I'd probably donate to a foundation that helps people learn more about financial literacy. Because I feel like it can change your life when you learn about financial literacy.
It literally can.
Yeah.
Like I've been having so many eye openers this year.
It's crazy.
And that's why every time I get the opportunity to just talk to somebody who knows something about money, I'm always so excited.
Yeah.
And then I'm always willing to share it. But again, I don't have enough knowledge to share it here. So I'll say there's this TF something thing, it's tax free, but I don't know what is. That's where my knowledge is at right now. But I feel like if I keep going at it for...
Yeah. And you know what? It's actually very powerful when people see you on your journey and they can follow you along the journey.
Oh my
right?
God, yeah.
So it's like when people are learning how to do makeup and then they're just doing. I love watching videos like that because I'm like, you're just like me. I don't know how to do it, but I'm learning. As you're learning, we're learning together. So it could even be a nice series that you share. Like you learn money.
Yeah.
In Canada.
Yeah. And then
everyone.
share. Yeah, I think that a lot of people need it, especially maybe back home. When I say back home, I mean Nigeria, because it's just so. There was a Vox Pop one time that was going on back home, and they said if somebody gave you 1 million naira, what will you do with it? Someone said I'll first buy Suya 100,000 because it's like
who needs 100,000?
It's just like because to them like 1 million was like a lot. And so what you want? And if you had asked me back then, I probably would have said maybe leave it in my account. And maybe just keep taking it bit by bit.
Yeah.
But now I know that if I put it here, it can grow and it can grow and it can grow. But your dad seems to know so much about is he like a professional in money matters?
No, he's a lawyer. Both my parents are lawyers, but when they moved to England from Nigeria, my dad said he realized that he knows nothing about money because obviously England's a very different system than Nigeria. So he went to the library and he got a book. And it was about investing. I think it was by the Motley Fool brothers who have this platform that teaches people about money. And he said that he just started reading it and he was fascinated by the fact that you can actually buy stock, a part of a company like Amazon, and then your money can grow. He was just shocked. He was mind blown by that. And back then it was actually very hard to buy stocks. It was a much hard, now we have an app on your phone.
Yeah.
Then they are stockbrokers, that you actually have to go to and buy your stocks. But he learned, and then he said, I'm going to teach my kids, when he didn't have kids at the time, but he said he's going to teach his kids so they don't have to basically learn like he had to learn the hard way, because he moved to another country by himself, had to learn everything. So from the time I was 4 years old, my parents took us to open our first bank accounts. I was 4, my sister was 1.
Are you the first?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we went to go open our first bank accounts. We opened them, and every time, uncles and aunties come over to the house, give you money. Most parents would be like, oh, I'll hold this money for you, right? Is that you?
Yes.
My mom would also say, oh, let me hold it for you. But my dad would say, nope, that's her money. 50% has to go into her bank account, and 50% she can do whatever it is. So I built the habit of always putting my money in my bank account. I even had the debit card with me. It was my...
As a child?
Yeah. They would have it in our room. I don't know why.
Wow, no,
Not
that
like
is
we could
good.
go anywhere with it anyways, but yeah. And then, so it's like ownership over our money from a very young age. I started working, I think at 15 or 16, I got my first like job
Where?
I was working at a basketball court, and then I was doing the scorekeeping for them. And it was good money. Like I would make like 300, 400 a weekend. It was really good
That is good.
right?
At that age.
Even now, I think it was
Yeah.
good
Yeah.
because they were paying us cash. So I don't know. But it was good money. And again, my dad would say, okay, how much have you saved? And I would be, oh, dad. But I would put half of it into the bank account. And then when I turned 18, I got a job at like a shoe store, paid $9 an hour, but same thing. I would put part of it, and now because I could invest now, I would put part of it into savings and then part of it into my investing account and buy investments. So I would say my parents are pivotal in my journey, pivotal
Yeah.
in my journey. Without them, I would have to learn all of this by myself. So I'm glad that they taught me from a very young age. They also taught me about credit, which is something that I think most people don't get taught. Most people have to get into credit card debts, get into thousands of dollars, and then figure like, oh, I did this wrong, and then work their way out. Whereas me, I never had to do any of that. Like from 18 years old, they taught me about credit and how to use a credit card.
Which is how?
So in Canada, or the States, we have credit cards, and they are, it seems like free money where they're just giving you $2,000 balance. Take this, spend it wherever you want, and then pay us at the end of the month. And so let's say you spend $500. They'll say, oh, you spent $500, but you just have to pay us $10 at the end of the month. That's the minimum payment. And most people will see that and be like, oh, $10, of course.
I can do that.
Yeah. But the problem is that they're charging you interest on everything that you did not pay up front.
Do they let you know that?
It's in the fine print, very fine print. Yeah. But if you actually look legally, the credit card company has to report how much this will cost you over time if you don't pay it. So if you look in the very fine print, it will say, if you pay the minimum payment, this will take you 3 years and 9 days to pay it off. That's like, if you look, nobody ever looks at this, but it's the truth.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy actually. So the reason it's so high is because the interest rate is like 19.99%, and it can go all the way up to like 30%. So it's crazy, and it compounds on a daily basis. So it's just getting larger and larger, and that's why it can get out of control for a lot of people. So the best way to use a credit card, I would say, is to use it like it's a debit card. Debit card is you have $1,000 in your account. Once it goes below $1,000, once it goes below zero, you don't have money to spend, right?
Okay.
You use your credit card the same way. You have $1,000 limit. Do not, if you don't have the cash to put back onto that card to pay it off, do not use that card.
No.
Yeah, that's my suggestion. Like I tell everyone, don't put anything on that card that you can't afford to pay off by the due date, because up until the due date, it's interest free. But the day after that due date is when you're going to start seeing those interest charges, and it can get pretty pricey. Yeah. So first thing, use it like a debit card. Second thing is to pay your balance on time and in full every single month. So on time meaning like they give you a due date, pay before, even 1 day before. So at least send the money there so that by the due date it is reflected that I've paid it off. Also in full. So again, I mentioned that you're not paying half of it. You're not paying $10. You're paying the whole balance. And if you can't afford to pay the whole balance, that means you cannot afford to use a credit card. Also, we have this thing called a utilization rate, and it means that they only want you to use 30% of what they give you. I don't know why they do this rule, but that's how if you want to boost your credit score, that's how you do it. And they basically say, let's say they give you $1,000 limit. You should only use $300 of it every single month. If you use more, then you're going over they're saying that you use too much, basically, and then they will dock your credit score as well. And the last thing is that you should not inquire for too much credit. So every time you ask for more credit, let's say you go to a car loan, you go for a car loan and you ask, hey, will you loan me money? You go for a mortgage, you say, hey, will you loan me money? You open a credit card. That's you saying, hey, will you give me more money, right?
Okay.
And because every time you do that, the credit bureau thinks, this person, they're not responsible with their credit. Let's dock their credit score. And it will happen every single time that you ask for more credit.
Okay.
So ideally, you should not ask too often. And especially if you have a big purchase like a mortgage coming up, you don't want to apply for a car loan or a bunch of other things because it will lower your credit score.
Okay, so you apply for these loans by asking the bank to increase your credit amount.
You either increasing your credit amount if you already have it or asking for a new one. So let's say you have a credit card right now, but you don't have a car loan. When you go ask for a car loan, that is you inquiring for more credit.
Will they give me?
They might, yeah. If depending on what your credit score looks like. Yeah. So oftentimes if you have a decent credit score, yeah, they're gonna give you the car loan, they're gonna give you the mortgage, they're gonna give you everything. But it will dock your credit score. Yeah.
Which is, oh, okay.
And your credit score is basically the report card of like how they grade how worthy you are of me giving you money. So they say, okay, you haven't paid back your credits in a long time. Now your score is going to go lower and lower and lower. Or they may still give you credit, but they'll say, we're going to give you a super high interest rate because you don't have a good track record of paying people back on time. So like having a good credit score basically will make you like it will make life cheaper for you in the long run. Yeah, cheaper, easier, because it gets more expensive the higher your credit score is. No, the lower your credit score is, the more interest they're gonna charge you for things. It's crazy.
So when is your credit number or score regarded as good?
I think it's between 700 plus. It's 700 to 800 is good, and then 800 plus is excellent. But once you're in the good range, there's not much difference between good and excellent.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
So what books do you read books?
Yeah.
Yeah. Which financial books would you recommend for a person to start?
So if you're in Canada, I would highly recommend 17 to Millionaire. It is for Canadians. Like if you're abroad, there's no point of reading it. Because it talks about every single Canadian account here. Okay. It's like a very much like TFSA, RSP, FHSA. It breaks down all of those different accounts. So it talks about taxes, it talks about how when you get paid, understanding your tax slip. So it's called 17 to Millionaire by Douglas Price. It's supposed to be for 17-year-olds who are trying to be millionaires one day. But I would say like literally for anybody. I read it like twice already, and I think it's an excellent book.
It's good.
Also, I think The Psychology of Money is a really good book. It's by Morgan Housel, and he basically talks about how money, the things we do with money are one thing, but it's also our mindset regarding money is actually more important than the actions that we do. Combination of the two is great, but like the mindset that you have about money and the actions that you take are a result of the mindset that you have. So I highly recommend that book. I think it helps you understand yourself a bit more. Like if you feel very avoidant around money, there's probably a reason why.
I need to check it out.
Yeah. If you have like a scarcity mindset where it's like, oh, I need to hoard all this money, there's probably a reason why. If you feel like you just blow money all the time, there's probably a reason why. Like there are lots of reasons why we do the things we do. And now that I coach people, I see it. Like I'm like, this has nothing to do with money. This is all about like your childhood, something that happened like 10, 15 years ago. That's why you are operating this way. So those are two books that I really recommend. And the third one would be I Will Teach You to Be Rich by Ramit Sethi.
It's good?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's really good. I know the title sounds like, kind of...
And then Ramit can be like...
Yeah, he is. He is.
So it's like, do I want to read his book?
No, in the book, it feels like he's yelling at you, to be honest.
He yells all the time.
In the book, it feels like he's yelling at you, but I feel like people need that, honestly. Obviously, if it's not your style, then maybe don't read it. But he also has a podcast. Have you listened to his podcast?
Yeah, sometimes I do.
Yeah, so Money for Couples, that's another podcast that I really love. And I've listened to every single episode, and he has like 200 episodes or so. So
wow.
Yeah, I think it's one of my favorite podcasts because it really goes into the psychology of money again. And I Will Teach You to Be Rich is just like a system of how to get good with your finances and make it easy for you, like automating everything. That's what I learned from I Will Teach You to Be Rich. It's more American focused, the accounts that they mentioned, but still really helpful. You can apply it to Canada or any country as well.
Okay, nice. Like I said earlier though, with like saying this is how much you have and this is how much you have, comes to people saying, give me this, give me this. And sometimes it's like, or maybe I'm just like, I'm honestly I can't speak bad about black tax. Like I said, I'm a beneficiary. I've benefited off of it.
Yeah.
But like, how do you handle it though?
So, okay, there are two main things. The first thing is if you have the balls to say no, then you just have to say no with your chest, okay? It's easier said than done, obviously, but sometimes, oftentimes that person, they're asking 5 people for money. And if you say no, they will find someone else to do it. Someone who, like, obviously there are situations where it's urgent and like it's like a medical emergency or something. That's a little bit different. But for those people who are constantly asking you for money every month to support their needs, you're enabling them a lot of times to not work sometimes or just to rely on you, and oftentimes they will get it from somewhere else, but maybe that's not the case, and it's just like maybe your parents, they're retired, they need some extra money. what I would say is to set a limit for how much that you are going to spend
Okay.
on them. So it's like, okay, I can afford, with meeting all my financial goals, I can afford to send my parents $200 per month. And that is what I'm going to send them. And you basically put them on payroll. Like it's like every 2 weeks or every month, you're sending them that $200.
And that's it.
Above that, it doesn't concern me anymore,
Yeah.
right? And that's what I have found works for a lot of people that I coach. Or they start a black tax fund, so a separate savings account, and they
Okay.
put $200 a month there. If anybody asks for anything, it comes out of that money. It doesn't come out of their savings account, other savings accounts. It just comes out of that specific account. So it's kind of giving a cap to how much they can give. And I also find that like when you have goals for your money, it's a lot easier to say no to what does not align with your goals.
Yes.
But if you just like, I always tell people, so there are banks like Neobank, EQ Bank, a bunch of banks in Canada where you can have 6 to 10 different savings accounts within your one bank account. So it's like buckets. So I have a car fund, a travel fund, a house fund, all these different funds, and I save in each of those accounts. So I have goals for my money. So if somebody randomly asks me for money, I'm like, I don't have any because
There's plans for it.
exactly. But
Yeah.
if it was just in my checking account, just sitting there, I'd be like, yeah, I have $1,000. So
Yeah,
if
just
you
have
want-
some.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But if I'm like, okay, this $500 is for my house. This $500, am I really going to take from my house to give to this random person that, you know? So I think when you have goals around your money, it's a lot less likely that you will just give it out willy-nilly. Even if you're the most giving person and you love people and you want to help everyone, I found that those people, they needed the most. They need goals for their money the most because it will help set boundaries for themselves. Yeah.
Okay, so to take you quickly back now, I think we've spoken about it, the house. You know, if you could, is renting a waste of money, first of all?
No, I don't think so.
Because you know the argument is you're paying a landlord
Yeah.
when you could put that money into your own house.
Yeah, you could technically, but I don't see it as a waste of money. A waste of money would be putting your money in the toilet. That would be a waste of money. This is that you are paying for shelter. It's just an
Yeah.
exchange of value, right? So I don't see it as wasting your money at all. I think I get shelter, and I'm paying someone to have that shelter, right? When they compare owning a house versus renting a house, I think people just don't really factor in all the costs that are associated with owning. So they think, okay, if I'm gonna pay $1,500 for rent every month, I might as well just pay $1,500 for my mortgage every month. But the $1,500 for your mortgage is the least amount that you're gonna pay for that house,
Because
right?
there's tax property.
Exactly. There's property taxes, there is your utilities, there's maintenance if anything happens to that house. There's so many other things that people don't consider. Even the cost in Canada of clearing your snow, for
Oh my
example.
God, for that snow alone is enough to rent, to be honest.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think it depends like what kind of life you want. Obviously there's stability with owning your own property, right?
In what sense though?
Because in renting, technically someone can just kick you out of their house, right?
Oh,
And
they
evict
can do
you.
that?
Yeah. Well, there's a long process, but eventually they will be able to kick you out of their house.
Okay.
So there's some stability in being like, okay,
This is my home.
exactly. This is my home. I'm going to stay here for the next 10 years. That is the plan. And especially when you have kids, you know, sometimes you want them to be able to go to a specific school and be able to stay there. So I get why people own homes. Like, obviously, I own a home. I'm not against it at all. But I just think that it depends on the type of person you are. If you want to live downtown Toronto, it doesn't make sense to buy a home down there at all. There's no way that the cost of renting will be more expensive than the cost of owning downtown Toronto. Whereas in London, where I bought my house 2 hours, 2.5 or an hour and a half outside of Toronto, maybe they're closer in price. But even still, you're not paying property taxes when you're renting. You're not paying for the maintenance on the house. If something happens to my roof, God forbid, I'm paying that, or maybe my insurance will cover some of it. But my tenant, that has literally nothing to do with them, right? So I think that there are pros and cons of each, and people should just buy because they truly want to, not because they think it's some magical investment that's saving them much more money compared to rent.
Or maybe just buy because you just want to have a house.
Yeah, exactly. It's not an investment.
No.
Yeah.
Not even remotely.
Yeah, I don't think so. Of course, here in the Greater Toronto area, houses have been going up significantly in price, and that is because we have had mass immigration for the past 7 years. So there's more supply no, there's less supply than demand.
Okay.
Wait, yeah, there's less supply than there's more demand than
than
there is
supply,
supply.
yeah.
Yes. So because of that, of course, house prices will continue to go up because there's so many people who want the same house. But now they've slashed immigration numbers. Things are not happening that same way. So we don't even know if your house will actually continue to go up in the same way that it used to. And I think what everyone just needs to realize is I just want you to run the numbers. That's it.
Yeah.
Like
Do
that's
all your
it.
calculations
Exactly.
before. And then, go ahead.
And then when people sell their house, they're like, "Oh, I bought it for 300,000. I sold it for 400,000. I made $100,000." But did you really?
Yeah.
Like, you paid mortgage every month. You paid property taxes. You paid to live in the like electricity, all these different things every month. So did you really make 100K? No, you didn't. You have to subtract all of that. And then oftentimes you'll see, okay, I only made 10K from this purchase. Like I just met with my someone in my accountability group, and she was running the numbers. She said, I'm breaking even. Like after 4 years of owning this house, I'm breaking even. So she's about to sell the house. And she's like, if I had just put that same money in the stock market, I would have made so much more money. So,
Yeah.
but I think the value of homeownership is the fact that you get to have this asset, quote unquote, I don't know, this asset, and you don't have to put 100% down to own that asset. That's the real value of it. Like, again, you can get a mortgage for 80% or even 95% of your property cost. So that's why people really like that, and you can touch it, right? So it feels like, oh, this is a real asset, but just do the numbers. That's all I want people to do. Yeah.
Okay. So what's the best way in investing in like the stock markets and the S&P 500s and co? Do you like leave the money there and let it compound like your retirement fund, or do you take your interest out? And because I don't know, just something about just putting my money somewhere and I don't see it and I don't like, it just feels, I don't know.
Yeah. So I invest bi-weekly. So every 2 weeks I buy $733 of VFE, and I just leave it to grow. That's my plan. If I need the money, I will take it out. Like that's my approach to it. If I want to purchase another house, I can take out money from there. If I want to pay for a wedding, for example, like those are things that I would consider taking my money out from.
Okay. It's kind of like saving, but like your money's there's interest on it.
And it's growing at a way faster rate than saving. But I think also for people, you can also set goals for your stocks. So if you buy, let's say you buy $10,000. Okay, let's use a realistic number. Let's say you buy $1,000 of a stock, and you say, okay, once this increases by 25%, I'm gonna sell, and you've made $250 on top. And then you're good. You're like, I'm ready. That's another way to invest. So you have goals in mind before you actually purchase it. And then once it reaches that, you sell. And you don't have to sell all of it. You can just sell $250 worth, take your profit, and then kind of restart the compounding process from the $1,000. That's another way that people go about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That way your real money is still there, but then you're getting like whatever the money is making.
Exactly.
Kind of like your money is making money for you, which is like good. To be able to sleep and just know that your money is doing something for you.
It's literally the best feeling ever. Like I look at my portfolio sometimes, I'm like, how did it grow this much?
You're blushing.
Like, how did my money grow like this?
Yeah.
It's crazy. And I help a lot of people in Nigeria also start investing in the stock market, and they're always like, wow, like, the naira has been losing value rapidly for the past year or so, year and a half, since T-Pain came into
Okay.
So like it's just amazing that they can invest in US stocks, like invest in a stronger currency basically, and allow their money to grow at a rate faster than the deflation that's happening right now.
Wow. You see, this is why I like stuff like this, because I've learned something. What did I write? I wrote it down because I now forget VFF. VFV. Yeah. I'm going to go and check that out and just divert, because I'm just like doing, like, you know how with these things, it's just you try and then you don't know. So I bought maybe like a little bit of this and a little bit of that. But I'll go and check this one out and maybe diversify. Yeah. Hopefully when we sit again, I'll tell you that I was looking and I'm like, how did it grow this much? Because I need to be able to tell those stories.
Yes.
And you help like people like do so much financial stuff, like, because I was like on your page, was it yesterday, on like your YouTube, and I was just watching and then you were explaining, and right now it's just a gift to have somebody explain and break down money stuff in like simple terms. So thank you so much for doing that. Thank you for coming on the show, and don't stop doing what you're doing, because of people like you, people like me can learn. Before we now finally like round up, when is it too late to invest?
It's never too late to invest.
No.
I think obviously the best time was 20 years ago, but the second best time is now. So I would encourage everyone to, whatever age you are, no matter how much money you're making, start investing now.
And then when is the best time to start investing?
No. To start?
Yeah, like maybe if like my child, for instance, when is the best time? Do I do like your dad and start at 4 or?
So I actually I didn't mention this, but my parents also started. So as much as we were saving as children, they also invested on our behalf. So we have this account called the RESP, which is called the Registered Education Savings Plan. And in Canada, if you put in $2,500 a year, they will maximize and give you 20% on top of that. So that's an automatic 20% return that
But
you're
you use
getting.
that for school, no?
Yeah, but you're giving, when you give your children free education, they're now able to graduate with no debt. So most people in my accountability group, they have like $30,000 of debt, $40,000 when they graduate. So to be able to give your kids the gift of no student loans is a real blessing.
Yeah.
And the government's matching it. It's like your money plus the government's money. So it's better than using all of your money.
Yeah.
So $2,500 a month, a year, they'll maximize it by 20%. And then you can also invest that money. So you don't just save it, you also invest it. Yeah. So my dad started investing in the RRESPs when we were probably 4 years old as well. I don't know when he started. And by the time I was 18, he was able to pay for my education. My parents, both of them, they were able to pay for my schooling, my sister's school, and now my sister's in law school as well. So it paid for 3 degrees basically.
Did you study law as well?
Nope.
No.
No, both my parents are lawyers. My sister's a lawyer. I am the content creator.
Well, what did you read?
I did business administration.
Okay, well, it's still in line of what you did.
Yeah.
You're a businesswoman.
Yeah, and I did marketing. So yeah, so I would say you can, if you have kids, you can start investing for them once they're born.
Yeah.
Yeah, once they have that SIN number in Canada, you can start investing for them. And then once they're 18, teach them how to invest themselves.
Okay. Or maybe even before. Maybe talk about
17, 16, yeah. I taught a class yesterday to like 50 high school students, teaching them about how to start investing as well. And they're really excited.
So do you reach out to these guys and say, oh, I have stuff I can share? Or did they reach out to you and say, oh, Reni, come speak to us about these things?
So it's because I post so much about so I used to send pitches out and ask people, hey, or at church, can I speak to you guys about this? And then I use every opportunity as a marketing opportunity. So it's like, okay, I spoke at the school. Now I'm going to take a picture of myself or a video of myself speaking. I'm going to post about that video. I'm going to have a caption like, if you would like me to speak at your company, please reach out at da-da-da. I speak about this topic, and this topic. And I do that on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the place to get all these deals. So that's where I post mostly.
Really?
Because the people who are making the decisions, that's where they are, right? So this was CPA Ontario, which is like the CPA. They do they're accountants. They want to teach students about financial literacy. So they hired me to do that. And again, it's like all the free speaking that you do, you should use that as a marketing tool to get you more paid speaking engagements.
Have you ever been broke?
No.
Huh.
Never. Obviously, when I was younger, I don't know, I didn't know anything. I was just a kid. But I always felt comfortable. I didn't feel any lack.
Yeah.
And my parents didn't have that much money back then, but as I got older, they started their own law firm, so they started to make good money. So they've never been, well, maybe they have before me.
The whole family has never been broke.
Yeah, basically. Blessing, it's a blessing.
So what's the least amounts of money that you had?
In my account?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't even know. I don't know. I don't know that one.
Do you remember one time I would have maybe 2,500 naira?
Naira?
That would be all. And guess what I would do? I'll go and buy suya and ice cream.
I love suya so much. I can't wait to eat suya.
Yeah, everybody loves suya. Like the tozo part. Do you like tozo?
I tried it. I don't like it.
No?
The texture is chewy.
Okay, it can be weird actually if you didn't start eating it as a child. But it's if I knew at the time. But now I know, and so I'm grateful. And that's why I'm always... And that's one thing about me, which is if I meet somebody, I go, oh, have you started investing? And they'll be like, what's wrong with some? Because they probably started years ago, but there'll be cases where somebody will be like,
oh, yeah.
No.
A lot of people do not invest.
And then I'll be like, oh, so this is what you should do, and this is what you should do, and this is what you should do. So this is a very exciting phase for me. But yeah,
building generational
hopefully when you
wealth.
ask my kids, have you ever been broke?
They say no, never.
Because like, what is that?
Yeah.
Okay, guys, like I said, it's been a very exciting and insightful conversation. But this is where we'll end it for now. Until next time, it is bye-bye. And thank you so much, Reni, for coming.
Thank you for having me. Bye.